We're live and we'll just wait for 1 minute and then we'll start.
Okay,
Sure, no problem.
Sure,
thank
sir.
you.
All right, I think we should start. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to DigiPay 2020, the Future of Digital Payments Summit, KSA edition. I hope all the attendees are having a good time attending all the previous session. My name is Varsha. I'm from Khalij Times. Moving on to the next session for today, we have Mr. Majed Mohammad Al-Shodar with us. And just to basically tell you all, the topic for the next session is security a concern for digital payments. Before we begin, I would just like to give you all a short introduction for Mr. Majid. Majid is a current CISO of the Allied Cooperative Insurance Group. He is one of the top names in the field of information security, information technology, digital business transformation, and emerging technologies. He has over 19 years of international professional at both the senior management and technical hands-on in holding, contracting, banking, supply chain, oil and gas, real estate, construction, insurance, automotive, and investment services industries, in addition to real-time systems and a digital transformation. So thank you, Mr. Majid. Welcome. Firstly, it's an honor to have you on board with us today. And the moderator for today's fireside chat would be Mr. Abhinav Mishra. He is the head of conference for Khalij Times. So Abhinav, I would request you to please start. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha, and hello, Mr. Majid. Welcome to DigiPay by Khalij Times. First of all, I would like to thank you for accepting a kind invitation to do this fireside chat. And it's very rare that CISOs agree to a fireside chat. So I'm happy that you agreed to one. And also, first of all, I would like to start off by asking how you're doing. How's everyone in your family? I hope everyone is safe.
First, thank you very much for your kind invitation and allow me for this great opportunity to connect with you and also our audience and of course do this kind of excellent knowledge exchange. Things are just fine here in Saudi Arabia and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, even in the new normal
Yeah.
things will become under control better than before. Good time. And also, I wish the same for you and other nations too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Majid. That's very kind of you. So, Mr. Majid, as you know that we are today, we just did a session last week on the 10th for focused on the UAE audience, and today we are doing it for the Saudi audience because one of the very rare things, there's nothing good that's come out of this pandemic. The only one good thing that at least the technology leaders can say is that the digital transformation has accelerated in our organization. Now, a lot of, and not only the ones that were digital first companies, but also the legacy based organizations realize that now technology is just not a support system, but it's a necessity, something that they need to survive now. So even they are looking at it. And with them, their business transactions, their product selling, everything moving online. I think one of the key aspects that is of concern and an opportunity is the digital payment ecosystem. Now, whenever we talk about payments and digital payments, I think the information security or the role of a CISO becomes very paramount, right? It not only from the security purpose, but your experience of handling a digital payment ecosystem will also kind of build a narrative about what the experience of your end user was and what he or she thinks about the entire platform of doing it digitally. So that's why I think it's a very important subject for us to cover today with you. And considering your experience, considering that you've been such a vocal supporter, especially when it comes to the information security part, I think it would be wonderful. So thank you once again for agreeing to do this interview today.
Thank you. Pleasure. Actually, speaking loudly about the digital payment, and as everyone know, it's not something new come on the surface just nowadays or even during the just come during the crisis management. Actually, it's one of the important features once we are looking after the customer experience and satisfaction. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so the digital payment itself as a function or as a feature been there long time ago. However, due to the availability, okay, and new era of emerging technologies such as the blockchain, Internet of Things, big
Yeah.
data, and the huge number of integration between systems, national and international, you know, the digital payment being more critical, okay, than before, and never ever been important to businesses, okay, or day-to-day operation like before. So if we think about it as a business feature or as an option, it's become a mandatory option that most of the businesses, especially once you are working in banking, financing, capital, insurance, where you need to connect, even for retail, okay? So where you need to connect with your customer securely. So what it's really worth mentioning in here, it's what we need to focus on, why it's become that's important just on the spot. For I will not take it long, but maybe I can mention here four major items. Number one is thinking as a CISO or as an information security management team, even a specialist in this one. We need to think with a business mindset. Okay, we are as a supportive function to the business. We need to have this kind of business thinking and help us help the business to proceed and expand with the good growth. Number one, maybe it's this item is not relevant enough to the IT security or cyber security, very technical, but also this is the new trend and we have to have this business hat. Number two, it's about the technical security or governance. Once we are using the digital payment, we are somehow mentioning too many sub items in here. A vendor management or third party, or maybe outsourcing the digital payment as a service, go with it as a SaaS. So there is kind of an SLA, service level agreement, need to be well written, need to be reviewed, and move on with this. Number three, which is also important to us, to ensure that even if we have a secure digital payment gateways, even if we have the educated people around and systems well integrated securely, but also we need to monitor it. In information security language, we need to have kind of a security operations center that not working independent, okay, or separately. No, it needs to work with the finance team or treasury team who is from the business side to ensure that all transactions are legitimate, okay, completed as a cycle. And of course, the last one is the awareness, where we usually escape it for some reasons, maybe due to how busy we are in executing the day-to-day operation and business. But ensuring that we have good internal awareness and also external awareness with our vendors, what they need to do, how the spam, how we can avoid any, phishing. I will not go in details. I'm talking from a strategic point of view. We need to consider this. Of course, maybe others have important points too, but from my experience, I found this is the most critical things that we need to take care, and from here we can just move on. Okay.
Absolutely. So I think, Mr. Majid, you very well answered kind of my first question, which was about what is the ideal way to secure a payment process in the wake of a challenging security landscape in the digital world. And very interesting, you mentioned the three critical areas. And the third one is very, very interesting. And I completely agree with you. The simpler it sounds, the most difficult it is, which is the awareness. Although there are so many campaigns being done, and still we see so much of fraud, we see so much of phishing, we see so much of stolen personal identity data on the digital landscape. So absolutely awareness, I completely agree with you on that as well. But talking about awareness, Mr. Majid, um, how do you see creating awareness about meeting the legal and regulatory compliance? Because such as GDPR, DSS, PSD2. The reason why I ask you that is whenever there is a talk involving information security and CISOs, I think legal and regulatory compliance is up there in discussion, and it's like a never dying topic. So how do you see about creating awareness about the legal and regulatory compliance?
Okay. Uh, Awareness, it's kind of our, it's representing our customer to certain level, because awareness is very important to us, because it's actually do this kind of education to our end customers. And believe me on this, the customer or the end customer is the first line defense to any business. Okay, so as awareness program or initiative with whatever, I'm not talking for GDPR only, this as BSD2, ISO, COVID 5, without even along with the regulations here in Saudi Arabia, SAMA, National Cybersecurity Authority, the the overall idea about the awareness is to focus on three. I love doing this kind of context in my answer. So it's about three main items. Okay. Number one is the awareness that in relationship with the customers. Number two is the awareness that, of course, it's with the team itself. I mean, the core team, the information security team. And here we are going to the training, maybe virtual training, physical training, and so on, never end. And the last one is the for the vendor or third party education, for whoever you have a contract with them, or the business have some kind of a service, outsourcing service from X companies. Okay, so awareness, it's very important, and I consider it as one of the overall 8 domains that the information security should focus on. But it's never end with the sending emails, and this is something actually it's worth mentioning, because sometimes we think that sending emails and making such or making such highlight on a specific topic, we are done with the awareness. Actually, it's just the start, never end. Because after sending the email, I'm just giving you an example, quick
Yeah.
one. We need to pick up the phone and have this communication with our end customers. If they need more information, if they need more clarification. Number two. Number three, we need to do some kind of awareness testing. If we send something in the awareness or posters saying that don't leave the door open, okay, for the safe room, we need to ensure that if we leave it open, if there will be someone will be reporting that the door for the safe room is open. So this kind of testing, or through a spam email, this and that, need also to be continued. So please, if the information security, for whatever reason, not doing enough awareness that around 24 hours by 7 days, so still we are not secure. It doesn't care about how many firewalls you have, how many antivirus, how many anti-spam solutions. No need to list all of them. But the awareness is your first line defense, and we must, with the terminology, must focus on it more than anything else. Yeah.
And very interestingly, you mentioned that it's not only about sending emails, which I think a lot of people think is just about you send an email about what to do and what not to do, and that's the end of it. But as you very rightly mentioned, it's the start of that. It's a start of an initiative to ensure that there are regular follow-ups, there is better knowledge going out, and people actually know about and they're implementing those ideas rather than just reading about it. So I think that is very interesting. Also, talking about information security and fraud prevention, do you think the usage of latest technology, something like the integrated threat protection to assist fraud prevention, is something that the CISOs should take more seriously, or do you think they're already taking it seriously? Or do you even think that the technologies like the integrated threat protection help?
Actually, it depends on the business nature and the system that you have.
Mhm.
However, if you are following a particular X cybersecurity framework, okay, there is a demand and it's mentioned in their controllers to have integrated threat protection. And if you are working in the industry of banking or insurance, for example, also
Yeah,
you need to have a system, okay, for the fraud prevention. We need to understand something nowadays, uh, and I'm sure that everyone know about it. The information security as a journey is never end.
absolutely.
Okay. Um, Also, if you want to invest in the information security, 1 million you can do. In the same time, if you want to invest additional 10 million, you can't even do.
Yeah,
Never, never end the budget. However, as an information security, with the first point we mentioned, with the business mindset, we need to ensure that we do the right investment for the company, okay, that we are supporting. So it depends on the industry that they are in. However, maybe these two items could be a mandatory. It's a must item that we have to have it in the insurance industry, but maybe not if you are going to another industry, for example, the real estate, okay, but not the brokerage things, as a broker or in the banking. So once again, it's good to have it. There is no straightforward answer for it, for some, but also prefer to have it for others.
absolutely. And again, in this, one very interesting thing that you mentioned was that as a CISO, you can spend either 1 million or 10 million on your security budget. And that is, we were talking to another CISO from the UAE, and he said the exactly same thing, but in a more funny way. He said that security or a CISO budget or something that you spend on information security is like you decorating your house. There is no end to it. You can spend on the most expensive things and you can make it look lavish, or you can just use things that you need in your house. So absolutely, there is no budget limit to what you can do when it comes to designing the interiors of your house. So it's very interesting. You mentioned exactly the same things, and it's good to see that the security leaders across the region are on the same page. Asking the next question, Mr. Majid, is we touched upon the various aspects of information security and what the CISOs need to be doing, also in terms of awareness. But talking more specifically about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because this edition is focused on that, on KSA. Do you think the secure remote access the number one challenge faced by security leaders in KSA? What are your views in it?
Actually, yes, big time, especially during the start of the COVID-19.
Mhm.
Uh, Here in Saudi Arabia, I'm not representing the companies or all of them in Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia, but this is off record discussion that's with other CISOs and who's working in the same field. We faced some difficulties, okay, at the beginning of remote work,
Mhm.
and that was due to very important knowing terminology called transformation, business transformation.
absolutely.
Actually, again, there is nothing about securities. Everything is about business. I want to take
Correct.
you every time to the business, the demand itself. So if you think about the remote access as itself, there is no need, but the digital transformation for businesses during COVID-19 and the new normal, it's built up new demand for to go maybe 100% for organization and enable the remote access for that organization. And here was the challenge, where the not only the security, the internet bandwidth availability, the redundant links, along with the security. Security is very important. I'm a CISO, and I'm working in the cybersecurity field long time ago. But what is really important for us, how to enable this remote access for the whole company securely, because here we will be having different parameters. For example, there are people working and they need to work with the remote access who are sitting inside Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But there are few of them working from outside Saudi Arabia, and still we need to operate the business. So if you think about it, should I open the remote access? We are talking, by the way, about more than 50 controller here. Okay, and one of them, should I enable the remote access from outside Saudi Arabia, for example, and the same for UAE and the same for other countries, or make it just limited for people who is working with the Saudi Arabia? Because here, wherever you open or grant the access for externals, here you are increasing the risk too, without mentioning specific countries. But is it a challenge? Yes, it is a challenge. Number two, this is one of the biggest challenge, actually, personally, I face, is letting people or the team working on their personal assets like laptop, desktop, how their personal laptop or desktop will occupy it securely to allow them to access your core systems. Do you have this kind of health check for the VPN? Do you can ensure? You know, there are a lot of controllers. It's never end, but gladly, national cybersecurity, and even though SAMA, they created independent remote access guidelines that help companies with the banking and insurance industries, okay, how to allow the remote access securely. So I will not repeat what it's all mentioned in there, but I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about COVID-19 anymore. It's about a business transformation. Not only we have been enforced as security, actually the board of the companies and organization being enforced to for this transformation. So even if you are not ready or halfway ready, I ask you please to ensure that your core systems and security tools will occupy, okay, installed, monitored with the educated team inside your corporation, your corporate. So along with the cooperation with other departments. So you will not have such issues going on and in the future.
Absolutely. I think you very well mentioned, and you very well mentioned the challenges that a CISO had to face, especially at the onset of the pandemic, because operations had to go remote ASAP so that work should not be affected. And at the same time, to keep it secure, I think all the CISOs definitely deserve appreciation and gratitude for doing that. And at the end of the day, if there's any one small minor mistake, I think the blame goes on the CISOs. So it's a very challenging and a very gratitude-filled responsibility as well. Now, Mr. Majid, we have a couple of minutes left, and we would like to take some questions from the audience. And the first question over here, just a second, I'm going to read it out for you. The first question, okay, someone has asked anonymously, is what are the new steps that need to be taken in the digital era towards fraud, especially in the insurance space? Although you touched upon this in the first question, I think they are looking for he or she, who the person is looking for a specific answer towards the insurance sector. So what do you think the steps the CISOs need to take over there?
Actually, there is number one, the reason for this question, of course, there is a regulation, okay,
Hmm.
guidelines that we need to follow in the insurance industry. And one of them, or the insurance industry, is facing big time is the fraud systems. So what I suggest here is to go and, of course, after doing the whole cycle for contracting and vendor management, what is the proper and right vendor for you? You need to go and pick a partner, okay, for you. That will make your life more easier to operate the system. The system itself, it's not a technology tool that you install it as much as a business process. And the fraud things, it's not independent business process as a workflow. There are certain integration with other functions too that where they need to influence on the fraud or business workflow things. So pick a partner. Okay, I'm not representing any vendor in here. I'm just
Yeah.
giving high level strategic steps to go. Number one, number two, educate your team. Okay. Of course, he mentioned here or she mentioned something about the certification. There is a certification without mentioning names. Again, and unfortunately, not allowed to. But there are certifications that you can acquire from the local regulators or from the local training providers about the fraud, where they educate. Of course, there will be different levels, like of the introduction, mid, and high, but with different terminology, where you can educate the team about working with what is the fraud system and how to work with it, and most important, how to gain the fruit out of it. It's not every system installed. It doesn't mean that every system installed in my company means that I'm getting the full benefit out of it. Okay, I need to understand the system well, to be well educated on it. Then I can ensure that, of course, with the good matching, then I can gain the full fruit of it.
Absolutely. I think the steps that you've given are something that I'm sure the person asking the question will help with them with, especially picking the right, as you mentioned, picking the right partners, talking about the certification, educating your team. So absolutely fantastic. Mr. Majid, the last question that we have is, someone has asked that with the rise of the payment service providers that are adopting various security certifications to interest a customer. Now, I think the question is lengthy, but to shorten it, I think what it means is, do you feel that the consumer will also equally adopt digital payments? And more specifically, they're asking, based on your understanding, what do you think? To what extent do you feel the change of Saudi consumers will consider this shift? And are there any initiatives by the government to accelerate the growth of digital payments, secure digital payments across all industries in the region? So I think the first part of the question is, I'm asking your views on how do you think, to what extent will the Saudi consumer adopt the shift in digital ecosystem, payment ecosystem, and the support by the government to accelerate the growth across all industries in this sector?
Actually, there is no question about it. Maybe I didn't got the question well, but mashallah, tabarakallah, here we in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we have very big, huge achievements once come to the digital payments and integration between systems, and we have very live examples and exemplary organizations where they have done this. Ilim and many other companies where they look after this kind of things, along with the SAMA as a local regulators. Of course, there is a certification and to certify the digital payment gateways and providers, and we have many inside. But and for the consumer as end customers, okay, consumers want their life easy and with easy, يعني easier and simple. I think the what the current with the current situation and this kind of outsourcing, the ability to outsource whatever function that you want, it's even more make the business life more easier. So from consumer and to business. So yes, it will go and it will grow, and the number of such service providers will increase big time.
Absolutely. I think with that, Mr. Majed, we've come to the end of this lovely discussion. I think the discussion on security aspect, now that the world is becoming more digitally savvy, will never end. But I would like to thank you once again for taking your time out in these times and helping us and probably having a discussion or a chat with me today. And we really appreciate your contribution that to the information security industry, to the region, and also to this particular summit that we have today. Thank you so much, Mr. Majid. Pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Majid, again, and thank you, Abhinav. I would request all the attendees, we have a next panel discussion which has already started. I would request all the attendees to please join in the next panel discussion. The topic for the next panel discussion is rise of digital payment across the region. So requesting all the attendees to please join in. Thank you.